Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, What the Beck. We're doing my second ever Littlest Pet Shop repaint today. This animal on screen is Sprink. This is my main persona, and it's the first LPS custom that I did a few years ago, and I just haven't done any since then. He's not the best paint job, but he is really cute, and I really like him. Also made this little hat for him. But Sprink is not the focus of today's video, which actually, you know what? You don't even need a hat because it's like 90 degrees today. That went directly in the paint water. Okay, luckily we haven't used it yet. Yeah, basically today we need a new victim, and I basically chose a pool of potential victims here. It kind of looks like soup. I was gonna bring a spoon up here to do a visual gag, but I did not want to get up. So this is our pool of victims. A lot of these are in here because they're either damaged or dirty, or like a lot of them have little black marks on them because I guess whoever owned them had to mark which ones were theirs versus their siblings or whoever. Either way, somebody put Sharpie on a bunch of the ones that I have, and they were thrifted or gifted, so I figured they'll be good for repaints. And I did already look at all these. Some of them I have like an idea, some of them I have no idea. Like I have no clue about girly over here with her gumdrop head. But I decided that today we're going to be making Prism, and Prism is sort of an OC, sort of a concept. Basically, Prism is a crochet pattern that I designed. That's a tortoise with rainbow gradients on it, and this tortoise needs to repaint badly, and I didn't want to come up with a whole new design for my first repaint in a long time, so I figured let's repaint the tortoise to be Prism. And now get these guys out of here. Prism, if you haven't seen before, looks like this. It is a large tortoise. It's pretty much life size to certain species of tortoise. And yeah, I'm just gonna copy this color palette and make it in an LPS version. So let's go. So first of all, I'm gonna actually clean this guy because he is he's not like sticky, like there's something on him, but he just doesn't feel fully clean. So I just have some like Dawn dish soap and my no mouths toothbrush that's only for crafting, and some water, and I'm just gonna scrub him a little bit, get him clean. So not only is he gonna have a makeover, he's gonna have a spa day. He kind of broke his neck, but you know, it is a necessary trade-off. Now that he's had his preliminary scrub, I'm just gonna dry him off a little bit. Well, a lot of it, because I don't want to paint him wet, because I learned from Hello Studios that you want to do dry brushing as much as possible because it goes on smoother. Okay, so there's that. Now the next thing we're gonna do, and I don't think this is gonna help with the Sharpie or whatever, but just use some acetone to remove the factory paint. So I'm going to get my nail polish remover. This is 100% acetone. It will probably still work if it's a little bit less percentage, but I don't have that on me, so I just have this one. So here's that, and I'm gonna put this far away so I don't accidentally knock it over. And get my other paper towel here and just start soaking off this guy's eyeballs and such. I don't think I've done this on any toys in a while. Okay, yeah, wow, that came off pretty easy. I did start working on a face-up of a Wonder Woman doll a few years ago, but it did not pan out, and she is still faceless in a bin in the craft room. So I wasn't sure how long I would have to like hold this on the paint to get it to take, but it looks like it's not super long. Oh, oh my goodness. It does smell really strong, so if you're gonna do this, be in a ventilated area, please. That's so strange. Okay, I thought that was the paint, but I guess the paint stained the eye on that side. That is so weird. I was confronting the reality that some LPS are technically vintage now, because I'm pretty sure they started selling them in 2004. I could be wrong. They're either like, some are vintage and some are like almost vintage. But I did actually win a Littlest Pet Shop yesterday at a arcade that I went to. They had one of those like claw machines with a bunch of little stuff, and I ended up winning a little bear. Took me like 3 tries, and then one of the tries the claw wouldn't open after I won it, so it was hovering over the bucket where it was supposed to drop it, and it just was like, okay, your turn is done. So even though I picked up something, it didn't drop it. So I ended up just paying for another turn to be able to get it to drop the thing. But, you know, I got my bear. This is way messier than I thought. I do not like how acetone smells. I'm actually going to use like the end of a paintbrush to help like get it where it needs to go. I also might give up on getting it like perfectly clean, because I do really want to just paint. And this like undershell area is really hard to get at. It's like wiping his butt. Okay, yeah, I think I'm gonna try to get a little bit more off his shell, just because it was like so caked on there. And after that, I'm gonna just go for it. Okay, I'm so glad we're done with the acetone now. So here's our base for Prism. The color selection I have picked out is basically every color. I have like the rainbow colors, and I have black and white. I also have gold because his eyes are gold. You can kind of see. There you go. One of the first steps that I saw you're supposed to do is just paint it all one color, and since white is not very opaque, Mother Studios has suggested black, so I'm gonna go with that. And because black is one of my most plentiful colors in my collection, I want to use that because I have a lot of it. So to dry brush, you basically tap off most of the paint and then spread it around. And this one, I think I kind of got a little bit more paint than I wanted, but you know, I'm learning. The other thing is that if you need to do multiple coats, do thinner coats rather than thicker coats. So even if it looks a little splotchy this first coat, I'm going to let it dry and then do the next coat. Then of course I gotta get in the little tiny neck area. And then the other thing to keep in mind is that when you're painting, you need to be holding on to part of it. So you kind of want to make a point of leaving yourself something to hold. So like for me, I'm kind of holding the back of the shell and the back legs. But I'm gonna also, on this first pass, I'm gonna avoid painting the bottoms of the feet so I can like set him down to dry and not have to worry about the paint coming off. It is like really satisfying to paint it all black. Well, for Sprink, I started with a white base, and I don't think that doing the black base would be ideal for him because he is mostly white, and that is not conducive to having a fun time. If you just paint the whole thing black to paint it white again, if the base was already white. Whoops. So yeah, and then doing that thin coat, as you can see, it's already dry and I'm not even done the first layer just yet. This tortoise has way more crevices than I initially anticipated. I think I'm definitely going to have to paint the underbelly before I do the skin tone, because it's easy enough to like keep it on the leg here, but it's so hard to paint the underbelly without touching the other like the parts of the turtle that are like the flesh, which sounds gross, but you know, it is what it is. It's his flesh. Okay, so I think I've got all the back done. I'm gonna let it sit just for a little bit to dry, and then I'm going to do the second coat, and then I'll be back with you to do the colors. So with the help of our handy dandy hair dryer, which is out of shot, I went ahead and I did some little touch-ups as the second coat, just wherever it was like not super opaque. And now the turtle is all covered in black paint. I did also come up with a painting scheme, because like I said, I think we should do the belly first, because that will be the hardest to paint when we're like, I feel like there's more chance of getting paint where you don't want it when you're doing the belly than the skin. I might also go ahead and switch brushes. I think I have a smaller brush somewhere. Actually, it's probably right in front of me on my desk, to do the skin. So I'm going to mix up a gray color for the belly, and we'll get to painting that. I don't need it to like perfectly match the plush that I made, but I do want it to be somewhat accurate. I think this is actually pretty good. Maybe just a tad lighter. So more white. Because black tends to, like, you know, overtake. You can make things a lot brighter by adding white, but if you add the same amount of black paint, it will end up really dark. So this is not dry enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this off and then start dry brushing with the gray paint. I also moved Sprink off of the paper because like I said, he is white and I don't want to get black paint on him. Oh crap, my paintbrush just decapitated itself. Okay, now if you could just turn over, sir. We're gonna paint the belly gray, and then again I'm gonna really hold back and remind myself that it's better to do multiple thinner coats than one thick coat. Just kind of like tap it on there. Yep, as you can see, it's pretty messy to get it in there. The other thing is, since we painted it black, the little crevices in the shell are going to be darker, which works for this design. Kind of gives it a little bit of shadow. Oh my goodness, can you see that? The way the brush is going in here. this is so awkward. I'm gonna try to like twirl up my brush so the tip is more controllable. I was thinking about how this base is probably not a go-to for customizers, because admittedly, while I do really like LPS customs, I'm not like super active on like Insta or anywhere within the community. Like, I get recommended posts of them and I will like them and follow people, but I'm not like constantly keeping up to date on what everyone's up to. And I also really haven't been using social media as much recently. Okay, let's get there on his butt. I'm so glad that I tried to think out the painting process and made an order for it, because can you imagine if I had painted all the skin already and then I was just like flopping around in here with the gray? And then again, because I'm doing kind of thin coats, they're drying fairly quickly. But I still am gonna hit this with the hairdryer just to triple check that it's dry before I move on. I promise I'm not trying to take it out of the camera. Someone gave me a really weird, it wasn't like a hate comment, but it was like on one of my crochet videos, they were like, I can't see how you decreased. And I'm like, one, sorry, that's correct. I took it out of the view on that particular first one. Then I showed a second view of how to do it. Plus I said the type of increase it was. So it's like, girly, you can Google how to do an invisible decrease without directly watching me in that video, because it was a pattern. It wasn't like how to do a decrease. Anyways. He looks kind of like the Twitter logo. You know what I mean. The X marks the dead company logo. Okay, I don't think I missed anything for the gray. So now I'm going to mix up the skin color, which is a really pretty like plumish color. I'm not gonna, well, maybe I'll pour some purple and then mix some of that gray in, because it is like a dull color. It's not the brightest. Like, this purple is really bright. I want to make sure I have enough for the whole turtle. Mix some of this in. And then, yeah, that's still way too bright. So I think I'm going to actually add a little bit of dark blue to make it a little cooler. Oh, well, that one is having some type of reaction inside of it. And then, again, just a tiny little bit of black, because I don't want it to be super dark, but I do want it to be darker. Okay, and this is already looking a lot like the color of the actual plush. Just want to make sure that I get it all evenly mixed. I think actually the plush might be bluer than that. Let me just bring him in. Yeah, well, I'm gonna do like one more drop of blue. One more drop of our silly separated blue. And yeah, that looks like the plumish color. All right. So then again, I'm gonna try to keep as much paint in here as possible. Wash this off and paint his skin. I think I'm gonna start with the head just because that's the biggest surface and I know that it's all the same color. I'm gonna try not to get in the eye, but you know, I'd rather go a little over with the skin color than go like outside where the eye's supposed to be with the eye color. That's the other thing that I actually do appreciate about this maybe less commonly used base, is that the eyes are super defined, so I know where they are, because with Sprink I was very nervous about making sure his eyes looked correct or like not realistic, but you know what I mean. I didn't want his eyes to be too small or big for the base. So I appreciate knowing how big Prism's eyes are supposed to be, so I can stick to that. The inspiration for Prism the crochet pattern was actually a real tortoise. So back in like the beginning of 2024, I was really working on trying to make a lot more patterns to sell because I'm trying to have more passive income to save up for like travel and things, because I have a few trips planned this year, and then I would also like to continue going around the world with my mom. And when I was working on my Texploration shawl pattern, my mom and I actually were at a Earth Day event at one of the local colleges, and they had a lady there who had a bunch of pet tortoises, and she had one that was called a sultana, or what was it called? I think it's sulcana. I never remember the exact name of the breed or like species, but I remember she was telling us all about this tortoise and how like they're from Africa. She was just telling us all about these tortoises, and my mom was having a really good time. And I looked at the tortoise's shell and I realized that it was kind of a gradient on each of them, because as the turtle grows up, they basically get a new layer on each section of their shell. And then I was like, oh, so it's kind of like when you're crocheting and you add another row and then your piece gets a little bit bigger each time you add a row. So then I was just experimenting with making the like hexagon pieces, and then I also took that same concept and applied it to trapezoids and pentagons so that the connected pieces would make a somewhat of a dome shape. And that is how I made Prism's pattern. I also was like workshopping it during a really busy season at work, but I was in one of those things where it's like, okay, you need to be prepared for if something happens, but you won't know until it's happening. So I was basically just like waiting around. So I managed to get the whole pattern and like prototype finished and assembled in like I think a week, which is like very quick for a crochet pattern with lots of different pieces. But I really love how it came out. What's next? I should probably start with the like annoying parts so that I can like chill afterward. There you go. I think I need to get some smaller paintbrushes. I have like dotting tools in my clay supplies that I can use for eyes, but I don't think I have any super little brushes. I know my sibling does because they used to do a lot of like really detailed canvas paintings and like paintings but not on canvases. I'm nervous about smudging it, so I'm gonna go ahead and hit it with the heat gun. It's all dry. Back to the leg. This is like the most awkward part because it's like, how am I supposed to get it in there? Even if the brush was a little smaller, it's really hard to get in there. But the plus side of that is like people aren't really gonna see in there that easily. I mean, it's a toy for me to like just have and display for fun. So it's not like it needs to be up to a certain like standard or anything, but you know, I want to do my best. I want it to be as clean as I can get it. I also noticed while painting the base coat of black that the tortoise has little like knees. Like you can see the toes here, and I feel like you could see them pretty decently before, like with the original paint. But it also has little cute knobby knees, which actually here I'll just highlight it for you. See? Boop! Their little knees. I do really like painting the LPS with the design already predetermined, because before I evaluated my bases and what I could make, I was planning on maybe just winging it, but I like having like the goal that's like, oh, it gets to be the mini version of the plush. So I'm thinking that like I still might do one where I just wing it, but I really like the idea of like sketching them out beforehand. So like even if it's not a predetermined design or character, like I could pre-design it on the iPad so I know what I'm doing at least. Wow, this the gray kind of makes it look like a little diaper. I feel like his legs keep growing. Like I keep finding new parts of his legs that I haven't painted yet, and I'm like, I swear I've painted your whole leg already. I am glad that the paint on the palette doesn't seem to be drying out super fast, because that is one of my like weird art anxieties, is that when I'm using paint it's gonna all dry up before I use it. Yeah, it's a little rough, but we're getting there. I think I'm gonna hit it with the hairdryer again. I'm also making a point to like point the hairdryer straight on the LPS above the paint so that the paint doesn't get dried out. Okay, and now I'm just gonna go ahead and touch up the rest of the skin, and I'll be back when that's done. Decided to go ahead and just touch up the belly portion. Painting the skin took way longer than I thought, mostly because you put a layer on and then just wait to see if that was enough. But surprisingly, I didn't have to wait super long, or at least I didn't feel like I was waiting super long, because I was working on the other parts of the turtle that needed purple coloring. So they were all kind of like drying at different times, so I could just move on to the next area. I've been painting down here and you haven't even been able to see it because I'm silly. But yeah, I'm kind of just like realizing how relaxing painting is. Like I remember painting a lot in high school because we had a lot of painting assignments, but I did not remember how, oh my goodness, is that the wrong color? I didn't remember how like chill it was to just paint. Now this neck part is what's really getting me, because it's like way in the crevice. Okay, see, I feel like a surgeon. Oh, and I immediately got some on his face. Ah, turn your head. Oh, there we go. Okay, so the patient's cooperation is crucial. Okay, turn your head that way. More focused than I've ever been in my whole life. Try not to be too particular, but it is like right under the face, so I don't want it to be not symmetrical or not like the best I could make it. Okay, now that the gray touch-ups are done, I'm going to do purple touch-ups, and I also realized I didn't do his tail, so I'm going to do that as well. I also switched brushes because that other one kept falling off, and this one has like a point in it, and it actually like holds the point. I feel like I forgot to breathe. Oh, also, I didn't really mention it before, but that other brush was kind of dropping hairs in here, and I did not like that. So I've been like picking out little hairs from my guy, and I don't like doing that. I need to get some like tweezers or something because there's a hair. Let's see if I can get this out of here. Great, and I had like it had gray under it. Well, that's okay because I'm using purple now, so I can cover it. Get the wrong color on my brush. But I think he's looking pretty good. I need to mix up a bunch of colors for the shell, so I'm going to let Prism dry a little bit more, and then we'll go ahead and start the shell. Basically, I'm doing the most annoying thing to myself, which is taking perfectly good colors and needing to make them all slightly different. All his colors are kind of like bright sort of jewel tones, and I have bright colors, so what I'm probably gonna do is put a little bit of black in with them and mix them and see how that goes. I'm really worried about the yellow though, because it's a golden yellow. It's not like, I don't know. I'm just gonna have to go for it. But I also realized that I got red out instead of hot pink, so I'm gonna swap those out now. Only need a little teeny tiny amount of each color. But I actually do need a little more pink because the outside of the shell is pink. And I think that instead of doing like multiple gradients the way that it is on the plush, I'm going to just do like 2 colors in each, because I don't want to like spend literally the whole day on this. Now the purple is also somewhat muted, but it's also kind of more pinkish than blue, so I'm gonna mix some of the pink in with that for the shell area. And then I'm actually gonna grab some toothpicks to mix with. They do not want to come out, but I will have them. So to mix these, I'm basically just going to put a little bit of black on the toothpick and then mix it over here. So yeah, this is gonna be more of like a magenta, like, I don't know, what would you call that? Like a grapish purple instead of like plum. Okay, and then to get some black in there, just the tiniest little bit. You can always add more, but you can't take black out of the colors. See, that is a really pretty color, but I think actually, looking at the plush, I think it's only a little bit darker. And yes, I really need to clean my palette. So just making a little bit more of a duller color, haha, so that it's not so, I guess, jarring against the other colors. Now for the yellow, I'm gonna be really stingy with the black because I really don't want it to make it too dark. I can't get this open. Okay, I did it. Tired of messing with that thing. So yeah, for the yellow, I'm gonna do like literally that much to start. I feel like it's turning it kind of greenish. I don't really want it to be greenish. What I might do is just take a little bit of this orange to make it more golden. A little bit more. That's the other thing that people forget about painting is like, you don't have to buy every single color of paint. You can always mix your own, but some people really don't enjoy mixing colors, so it might be more worth it for them to just buy the paint colors they want to use outright. There's also like some effects that are really cool that you just can't get if you mix your own colors. Like if you only have a cool red to mix with, you're not going to be able to mix a hot, fiery, like orangey color as easily. Bruh, what the heck? But like, you can also not mix fluorescents. You can probably not mix every kind of brown. I mean, I guess it depends on your personal like stash of supplies, but for me, I really don't like mixing brown from scratch, so I do just keep some, I forgot I already put black in there, hopefully it doesn't make it too dark. You can just like keep some different browns on hand so that you don't have to mix brown, because sometimes mixing brown can be confusing too. I'd rather just be like, I want dark brown, or I want caramel brown, or I want tan, and then I just have those ready to go. And that's enough of my paint mixing lament. Let's go ahead and get these onto Prism, and I think what I'm gonna do is there's 6 colors here, and I think I can get 7 little spots on him. So since the pink is going to be on the border, I also just realized I didn't paint his tail, but anyway, since the pink is going to be on the border, that one's probably going to be in the center. I'm basically going to do 2 spots that are the same like outside color. I think I'm going to go with yellow because the yellow is the complementary color of purple, so I think that will pop the best and just look really nice. So I'm just going to go ahead and start with the yellow, and I'm gonna put them on opposite sides of the shell as well because I want them to be distinguishable from each other. And then this is where like being patient with the layers is gonna really come into play because this is gonna take a little bit. So then those are gonna be like fully opposite of each other. And then I'm gonna do just like one of each of the others. Again, I'm gonna put the pink in the center, so I think I'll do that one next just to kind of help me kind of get the boundaries of the center set in stone, because right now they are a myth. One thing about this other paintbrush that I switched to using is that it's a little bit longer than the other one, so I keep like hitting it on my filming stand. Just a little annoying. And then I think what I'm gonna do is maybe not in rainbow order, because I feel like the way that I did it on the actual plush is not like perfectly rainbow order, because I was kind of going off of the colors that were showing up like naturally in the yarn. So like I ended up with more purple than orange like main color pieces, but you know, didn't plan that necessarily. Man, that yellow is like really weak compared to the rest, but I guess it's to be expected because it is yellow after all. Green, I think we're gonna go maybe here. I think I just have extra water in my brush, and maybe I did for the yellow too. I think I'm gonna do the purple at the back and the orange at the front near his head. It's still so watery. I guess I gotta really dry it out. So one of the first tutorials I watched back when I made Sprink was like, water down your paint, but I get that that makes it so that they don't look as like painted, I guess. It looks more like it was like latex paint than acrylic paint because it's smoother, but I'm like, it's just so hard to work with watered down paint. I don't want to do it. Okay, let's see if this second coat helps our yellow spots out a bit. Kinda, sorta. They're still gonna need at least one more coat, but I don't know. Yellow, this is gonna sound stupid. I'm disappointed that the color yellow is the way it is, because it's such a good color, but when it comes to like art supplies and stuff, it's so hard to like make it behave, because it's always not opaque, it's always overtaken by other colors, and just like really easy to get it muddy in terms of paint. But it looks so good. Like this color yellow is like really pretty. No, yellow needs to get its act together. I'm gonna blast him with the heat gun. I'm also gonna go ahead and do the tail now because I feel like I'll forget otherwise. Stop shaking. He's doing a little dance and I did not tell him to. when I was designing the crochet pattern, my like intent was to try to make the tortoise as anatomically accurate as possible for a family-friendly audience, but still. So that's why the underbelly is like the correct anatomical shape, and I tried to make the head an accurate size to a real tortoise. Now granted, I did not try to make it a life-size tortoise, I just wanted it to be an accurately constructed tortoise, but it ended up that the size of the little squares I made, the components, ended up being big enough that it's just kind of life-size now. And now green is becoming a problem. Get out of there. Do not encroach on Yellow's territory. He is struggling as always. I really like this pink color. I've been trying to use up a lot of my scrap yarns recently because I just have way too much acrylic yarn. I've been sort of moving to using wool yarn and designing patterns for things that I personally want, which like I haven't usually designed things that weren't what I liked or what I wanted, but I'm like making a point of using the nicer stuff for myself because if I want the item to like last a long time, get a lot of use out of it, I want it to be nice quality materials. And some people, acrylic is all they can afford or all they want to use, but me personally, I'm kind of like getting a bit more away from using acrylic as often, and I definitely still use it for orders, but I haven't been getting as many orders recently, and I figure that like if I get an order, that pays for the material anyway, so if I need to buy new material, whatever. But I've been using my scraps to basically make my own self-striping cakes, and then I'm using the self-striping cakes to make hexagon cardigans. And I showed one in my last video that I used all browns, and that one is finished. It is all good to go. I'm going to bring it to a market in July, and I also went ahead and made a black and gray and white one. Why are you looking at me like that? I don't remember what I was talking about. Oh, I was using my scraps. I made one with monochrome colors and it looks so cool and I really love it. And I used a bunch of cool like unique yarn, so like stuff that has two colors swirled all the way through it. So like I had one that was like gray and white swirled all the way through. I used color changing yarns in my self-made color changing yarn. So like the scarfy yarn is one of my favorite. I actually don't remember, it might be a blend with like wool and stuff, but it's one of my favorite like budget-ish yarns to use because I really like, sorry for hitting the camera, I really like the roving style of yarns. It's just like a fun experience to work with. So I used some of that in there, and that's color changing like a gradient. And then I had some straight up black, some straight up white, and then grays. And then I also put some like sparkle yarns in there, so it looks really cool. Because I have like a black sparkle yarn, and then a little bit later in the cardigan there's like white sparkle yarn, and then there's gray sparkle yarn even, which is actually wool that I just put in there because it was a scrap. But yeah, it looks really cool, and I'm really excited to take product photos of them sometime this week and get them on my Depop. And then if nobody buys them on Depop, they will just be traveling around to different markets with me. I try to find them an owner. I also started a pink one, and that one's coming out really cool. It's got a lot of the like dusty pinks and like mauve colors, which like I do believe that every color can be like perfect for a certain situation, but I just never reach for those, and I'm pretty sure I got them like for free from one of my mom's neighbors or something. Like they gave her the yarn to give to me because they knew that I use yarn, but I just don't usually reach for that color. So I went ahead and put it into the self-striping cake with some other pinks. I try really hard to get the contrast good in those because if you're gonna be using scraps and you're doing magic cakes or like what's it called, self-striping cakes, your color changes aren't gonna be exactly perfect every time. Like they're not gonna match up to the end of the round every time. If they do, you're some sort of like wizard, and I just want to know like how you did that. But you can like make it a point to use your scraps, and like the color changes, I kind of try to keep them pretty short because I like the kind of mixed up like jumbled look rather than having exactly perfect stripes of each yarn. Plus, if you run out of a certain yarn, having the changes be more frequent means you won't notice as much when that one is no longer in use in the project. So that's another little tip if you want to do a similar project. I'm not going to make a pattern for those because it's literally just a regular granny hexagon pattern, and you can find the free versions of those all over like Pinterest and Ravelry and all that. So I'm not going to be the one to give you that specific instruction, but I will do kind of like a roundup video soon that's like scrap busting projects and how to use scraps, because I think after the pink one I'm gonna try something with a lot of purples, but I'm not sure exactly what yet. I like to do cardigans because I feel like you can make them more oversized and people of like multiple different sizes could wear one rather than like a pullover, which is kind of like a set size. But yeah, I'm just trying to like come up with ideas on how to use my scraps. And now I gotta hit this guy with the gun. So they're all mostly opaque, and since they're each just gonna have like 2 colors in them, I'm gonna just go ahead and touch up the outsides of the sections because technically the inside is gonna be a different color. For the section that's gonna have the yellow on the inside, I might do a base coat of white just to make sure that it will show up without having to do a million coats. But then again, white is also notorious for needing a lot of coats, so we'll see what happens. Really trying to make sure my edges are crisp because I don't want to repaint the edges. It's so annoying. I love the sharp like angles on the turtle's shell, but I don't want to have to paint them so much or like touch them up as much. I'm actually using toilet paper instead of paper towel as a like dab rag today, because I didn't want to go downstairs, and it's actually working really well. I'm not like super particular about toilet paper, but my husband always buys the like bougie Charmin stuff, and it holds up pretty well to the water and paint and stuff. So hey, life hack: if you have bougie toilet paper, use it for painting. That one's too watery again. I don't like that. And I think the orange spot is like pretty much good to go. I just need to finish up this yellow one over here. Okay, I'm gonna hit him with the heat one more time, and then I think I'm actually gonna do the rim of the shell first and then the spots. Okay, so I went ahead and touched up the pink a little bit because it was crooked and it was bothering me. Also, now that I'm looking at it, the green is a little crooked too, so I want to just Do that. And okay, well now I'm trapped myself into making it perfect. Hold on. I'm gonna get the other side to match. Now that we have those various things all fixed up, I'm gonna do the pink on the rim. This is gonna kind of like bring it all together. And I already have too much water. Kind of trying to creep up on the line where I actually want it to be. So I'm like starting a little away and getting closer. But this section right behind the head is gonna be difficult. I might also try to do it in like 2 halves. So like paint the top half, dry it, and then paint the bottom half. Meaning like the underside of that rim. You know what I just realized? This is my paintbrush, right? So like if I don't want it to be that long, just like stop being so long and it won't hit my camera anymore. Being an adult is breaking your paintbrush when it's too long. Okay, there's the top portion. I'm gonna heat them up. And as expected, of course, I got some pink on the tail, but I'm probably gonna fix that at like the very last second because I don't feel like dealing with it right now. I'm gonna save the hard part under his head for later. Why is there a speck of orange on your butt? Funny to me how like in different crafts I'm more or less of a perfectionist. Like this I'm like, okay, I would like it to be as like straight as possible, perfect lines and all that. And with crochet I'm like, oh, I missed a stitch, I'll just add one over here. Like I guess it also depends on like the finished application of whatever it is, because I wouldn't want like a custom order to have mistakes or anything, but like if it's just like a blanket for me or like for the dog shelter, the dog not gonna mind. He just wants to snuggle. I'm just going back here and fixing the tail up because he got a little pink on his tail. Now we get to do the little spots, and I think for the pink in the middle I'm gonna do orange. Oh, this is a little nerve-wracking because it's like super tiny. Okay. Mission accomplished. And then, so this one right here is next to orange and one with orange in it. So I'm gonna do the green in that yellow. Like so. In the green, I'm gonna do blue. And touch up the little green spot because it went a little bit bigger than I wanted. Okay. Purple, I'm gonna put pink in it. Okay. And I'm gonna do purple in the blue. Now it's like every single one I'm doing is getting a little bit messy. But that's okay because I have my touch-ups right here. Now the orange is gonna have the yellow, so I think I'm gonna try it with just yellow, but I'm expecting to have to do another coat. Oh my god, almost dropped it on him. I was going to prime it with some white, but you know, I don't feel like it. It's definitely more opaque than the others, but I think it'll be okay with just 2 coats. And then I'm gonna do green in the yellow one over here. I was gonna see about doing like another color in it, but I think it's just more balanced this way. Too much water. There we go. And then I'm just gonna blast it with the heat just to be sure before I do that second coat of yellow. Hopefully the last coat of yellow brush is being all wiggly. Go back to being a point. There we go. Okay, now for the eyes. I'm basically going to paint the whole eye white and then go from there. Again, I'm gonna try to be doing it with like very little paint on the brush to make it as smooth as possible. And I do really like that these eyes are so well sculpted, like they're 3D, but it also makes it kind of hard to like paint them because I don't want to get the white from the eye onto the eyelid. Okay, that's the first one with its first coat. It's kind of like doing eyeliner. I'm still not like an eyeliner pro because I like hardly wear makeup ever. It definitely does help a lot to have the hairdryer because it's so much faster. Like I remember when I made Spring, I didn't have a hairdryer and it was taking forever. And I got ADHD, so I would get distracted and then forget he's down there and like forget to run back to the office to work on him unless I put like a timer on. Luckily that skin tone paint is still wet because I made a lot of it. Now, as I mentioned before, the eyes are going to be gold, so I have this, which I'm pretty sure I got at Scrap. It's a different brand than the other paints. Well, that was way too much, but you know. Okay, I'm just going to like swatch it a little bit on this paper because I don't remember how opaque it is, and I'm okay if it needs multiple coats, but really opaque. What if we mix it with the yellow here? Let's see how that goes, because like the yellow isn't that opaque, but like maybe it's better. Yeah, kind of, sort of. At least it'll be like less layers to have to do, and it does still keep it shiny. So basically I'm going to have my turtle looking forward, so I'm gonna just do like most of the eye is gonna be the pupil, and then we'll only need a little bit of iris. So I'm kind of painting more iris than I actually want, so I can kind of encroach on it with the black. That actually might be enough in one coat with the yellow mixed in. Okay, now the fun part is trying to match it to the other side. Okay. I'm going to start a little more forward, and then if I need to bring it back, I can scoot it back a little. Huh. I actually like started it behind where the other one is, I think. It's being a bit goopy, so I'm gonna heat them. Okay, and then layer number 2. I'm just gonna really focus on this outer area, because that's where it needs to be opaque the most. The rest is probably going to be under the pupil. And yep, just constantly doing touch-ups. I know I could do them all like at the very end, but like gives me something to do while certain parts are waiting to dry. And now, since pretty much the whole front of the eye is going to be black, I'm just going to go ahead and fix up the white parts of the eye, because I feel like it'll be easier to do white before black than after black. Okay, I think that's good. So next I'm gonna do the pupils, and then the eye shines, and then the eyelashes. And then we'll be all good to go. I feel like I definitely need some more black paint because it's not wet. Cute. Okay, now for the other one. This one I'm gonna like definitely 100% make an effort to make it really small at the beginning and then make it bigger to make sure it matches. To make sure they're symmetrical, I'm just kind of like looking at it from the top and seeing that like this one is definitely still a little bit small. Okay, I think that's good. There's one spot over here that needs a touch up again. It's bugging me. Okay, I'm gonna let that sit for a little bit. I'm gonna get a snack and then I'll be back to do the shines and the lashes. Okay, so for these, I'm using like the back of a paintbrush. I'm really hoping I get them even. Sprinks were not even on the first try. And it's like, you can always redo them, but like, why force yourself to? Boop. Okay. Very cute. Now the other one, we want it to be like right up at the top and almost touching it. Almost touching the iris, I mean. Okay, so bit smaller, but I think the placement is right. Oh crap. Actually, that's cute. Hold on. We're leaving that. Now that that's bigger, we'll put one more small one over here. Actually, I'm taking it out of frame. I'm sorry. I just want to make sure I get it right. This one is just a little tiny bit bigger, so I'm gonna cover up this top little arch section. This is so cute. Look at the little guy. Oh my goodness. Okay, so now we need to do the eyeliner, which I was so confused about whether that goes in where the eye mold is or above it. I think I'm just gonna go with in because it's a little easier to follow, and I'm not doing any like fancy eyelashes. I'm just doing straight black line. Might need a little bit of cleanup on that one. There we go. Okay, a little bit of cleanup over here. It's a messy boy. Are you ready for the final reveal? Oh, where did I put this animal? Dun, dun, dun. He is all done. He turned out really glossy, which I didn't expect. But then I just double checked the sealant and it says gloss, so I think I need to just get some matte sealant. But I'm so happy with how he turned out, and I really love his golden eyes and the shell. I like the simplified version of the big plush here, and now he can be like a little character in little videos or whatever I want to do with him. But yes, I know this video was really long. I tried to edit it down, but I just kept yapping. So my next video, I'm not going to focus as much on painting techniques and more about just like design choices, and if I wanted to yap, that I would yap a little bit and not as much as this video. But yes, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!